Welcome to the Omega Channel. Here, we'll use the power of language to guide you step by step into the world. Hi, everyone. I'm Omega. How's your day?
Hi, everyone. I'm Justin.
I was looking at our notes for today, and I was just thinking about this very specific feeling. I think everyone listening has felt it. It usually hits around, January, but it can happen anytime.
Oh, yeah. What kind of feeling is that?
It's that life cycle of a new hobby or a new skill, let's say learning English or maybe picking up an instrument. Day one is just, it's magic.
Ah, yes. The fresh notebook effect. You've got all the new gear. You're super motivated. You feel like you're about to take over the world. It's the honeymoon phase.
Exactly. You have what they call beginner's mind. You're a bit clumsy, making mistakes all over the place, but you just don't care because you're so locked in.
Yeah.
Everything is new. Your brain is just lighting up, trying to figure out all these new patterns. It's tiring, but it's really exciting.
But then
Yeah.
you fast forward maybe 3 months, 6 months.
Right. Fast forward, and you're still doing it. You're being consistent. You're good at the basics now, but that spark,
It's gone.
it's totally gone. You're just checking a box, going through the motions.
That is such a danger zone. The dreaded autopilot. I have been there so many times. I'll get obsessed with something new, and then the second I get decent at it, it just becomes a chore. I always just thought I quit because it got too hard, or I don't know, I just lost interest.
And that right there is the huge misconception we want to tackle today. Most people think they quit because something gets too difficult. But the research we've been looking at says that for people at that intermediate level, the real enemy isn't the difficulty, it's boredom.
Boredom. It sounds almost, I don't know, a bit petty, doesn't it? Like we're just being impatient. But you're saying it's an actual structural problem in how we practice.
Precisely. We're not quitting because we can't do it. We're quitting because we can do it too easily. Our brain is an efficiency machine, right? Once it learns a pattern, it just stops paying attention. It wants to save energy. So our mission today is to figure out how to wake the brain back up. How do we get from good, where autopilot lives, to great?
And I have a feeling this involves a certain character from a fairy tale.
It does. We are talking about the Goldilocks Rule.
Ah, the porridge. Not too hot, not too cold.
Exactly. But for us, it's about finding that just right zone of difficulty. Humans, we're actually wired to love a challenge. We crave it. But the biology of our motivation is a little tricky. We only really engage if the challenge is in a very, very specific sweet spot. To really get this, I want you to picture a tennis court.
Okay, got it. Wimbledon whites, green grass, maybe some strawberries and cream nearby.
So scenario A, I put you on that court against a top professional, let's say, prime Roger Federer or Serena Williams. They're serving at full speed.
Oh, that's just a disaster waiting to happen for me.
What happens to your motivation in that moment?
It's gone. Instantly. I mean, I'm just getting crushed. I wouldn't even be able to hit the ball. I'd be in what you'd call the panic zone. I'd probably just walk off the court. What's the point? It's hopeless.
Exactly. That is the panic zone. The challenge is way too high for your skill level, so your brain just shuts down. It says, nope, this is impossible. Save your energy. But now, let's look at scenario B. This time, you're playing against a 4-year-old child.
Well, that's not much better, is it? I mean, yeah, I'd win every point, but
Yeah.
I'm not really playing. I'm not running. I'm not thinking. My brain would just go to sleep. I'd be standing there thinking about what I'm having for dinner.
And that is the boredom zone. You quit because there's no thrill. Your brain knows exactly what's going to happen, so it stops paying attention. So the Goldilocks rule is really the art of navigating between those two extremes.
So we need a challenge that's going to push us, but not so much that it breaks us.
Right. And this isn't just, a nice idea. There's real science here. Are you familiar with the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi?
Oh, the flow state guy. Yes.
Yeah.
He's the one who defined that feeling when time just seems to vanish because you're so completely absorbed in what you're doing.
That's the one. He found that the flow state, that perfect zone of peak performance, happens when a challenge is roughly 4% greater than your current skill.
4%. That's so specific, isn't it?
It is, but you can think of it more like a metaphor for a manageable stretch. You need to be pushed just enough that you can't daydream. If your mind wanders for even a second, you'll fail. But it's not so hard that you panic. You're in that sweet spot where you have to pay full attention to succeed.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
When I'm in that zone, I'm not thinking about my emails or what I need to do later. I can't. I have to be fully present.
Oh,
Okay, this brings up a really practical question for everyone listening.
go for it.
A lot of our listeners are learning English or building some other habit. If they're feeling bored, if they're on that autopilot setting, how do you artificially create a 4% challenge? I mean, let's be honest. Sometimes the task just is boring, like vocabulary flashcards.
That is the million-dollar question. If you are bored, it means you're actually too good for the task at hand. You've mastered the basics. So you have to introduce a constraint. You have to turn that boring task into a kind of puzzle.
A puzzle. I like that. It reframes it. It's not work anymore. It's a game.
And you've actually been doing this, haven't you? We were talking before the show about your deep dive into Asian culture. Tell us how you applied this constraint idea.
Ah, yes, right. So, as you know, I'm fascinated by the subtleties of social etiquette in places like Korea and Japan. And recently, I've been trying to learn more about the nonverbal cues, how respect is shown without even saying a word. I started by watching local dramas, K-dramas mostly, to try and just absorb it.
Which sounds fun, but also kind of passive, like you're just relaxing on the sofa.
That was exactly the problem. At first, it was great, but after a while, I realized I was just reading the English subtitles. I wasn't actually learning about body language. I was just watching a TV show. My brain was on autopilot. Educationally, I was bored.
So how did you add that 4% challenge? How'd you make it hard again?
I gave myself a constraint. I made a rule. For 5 minutes of every episode, I had to turn the subtitles completely off. And my mission, my puzzle, was to spot 3 specific cultural gestures that showed respect.
Oh, that's so smart. So you weren't even trying to follow the dialogue. You were just hunting for visual clues.
Precisely. And suddenly I wasn't just a viewer, I was a detective. I was looking at the angle of a bow. Is it 45 degrees or 90? Who's pouring the drink for who? Are they using 2 hands? It forced me to pay attention to all this visual data I'd been ignoring. And it totally woke my brain up because I had a clear target.
That is a perfect example of the Goldilocks rule in action. You took a passive activity, you added a constraint, no subtitles, find 3 things, and bam, you're back in the challenge zone.
It turned watching TV into cultural analysis. And the crazy thing is, it was actually more fun. The boredom just vanished because I was an active participant again.
Okay, so let's apply this directly to our listeners. Let's talk travel English.
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant, the normal interaction at the end of the meal is pretty boring.
Right. Waiter comes over, you finished, and you say, check, please, or bill, please. It's so easy. You've said it 1,000 times. Total boredom zone.
Okay, so give us a game. How can we make check please 4% harder without, sounding ridiculous?
Okay, here's the challenge. The next time you're in that situation, you are not allowed to use that standard phrase. The constraint is you must use a full sentence, and you have to add 1 polite adjective about the meal.
Ooh, I like that. So no more just check, please.
Nope. You have to actually look at the waiter and say something like, could we please have the bill? The mushroom soup was absolutely magnificent.
See, that forces you to think. You have to actually recall a word like magnificent or delightful. You have to build the sentence. It creates a tiny, tiny bit of pressure.
Exactly. And that little spike in your heart rate, that's the Goldilocks zone. That's your brain actually growing. You walk away feeling like you really used the language, not just recited a line. You get a little buzz of success.
It's gamification. It's just turning the difficulty dial up on your own life. But we have to look at the other side of this.
The panic zone.
Right. We have listeners who aren't bored at all. They're paralyzed. They look at their goal. Maybe it's read a whole English novel or write a business report, and they just freeze up. It's way, way more than 4% harder.
I've been there. You just stare at the blank page and want to run away.
Yeah.
And then we beat ourselves up for it. We think, oh, I'm just lazy or I'm not disciplined.
But what the source material shows us is that it's not a character flaw. It's a calibration error. You're facing a Federer-level opponent, and your brain is predicting failure, so it refuses to even start.
So what's the strategy then? Just give up.
No, you perform a strategic retreat.
A strategic retreat. I like how that sounds. It sounds intentional, not like failure.
It's not failing, it's just recalibrating. You have to shrink the scope of the task. If reading a whole chapter feels terrifying, you tell yourself, I'm just going to read 1 paragraph.
But wait, isn't that just letting yourself off easy? If I only read 1 paragraph, am I really making progress?
That's the trap we fall into. We think big effort equals big results. But if that big effort makes you quit, your result is zero. Consistency is the only thing that matters for mastery. So if one paragraph still feels like too much,
Then I'm guessing you shrink it again.
you shrink it until it's almost laughable. I will read one sentence. You just keep making the task smaller and smaller until that anxiety disappears and your brain goes, oh, well, I can do that.
That's such a relief to hear. It's all about preserving the habit, isn't it? If you get overwhelmed with anxiety, you quit. But if you make it tiny, you stay in the game.
Exactly. Consistency beats intensity every single time. And this all leads to a deeper idea behind all this. We're not just doing these things for a result. We're doing them to build an identity.
Right, the source material talks about the difference between an amateur mindset and a pro mindset.
Yes, the amateur has a finish line. I'll be happy when I lose 10 pounds. I'll be successful when I pass this exam. But what happens after you cross the finish line?
You stop running. The race is over. And you probably go back to your old habits.
Right. But the pro mindset says, I am a runner. There is no finish line. You don't stop. Because running is just, it's who you are. It's a lifestyle.
That changes the whole focus. It's not about getting there. It's about being here in the daily practice.
So the question for our listeners is, what is the identity you're trying to refine? It's not just about doing the thing. It's about mastering the nuance of it.
I love that word, refining. It implies you're never actually done. You just keep polishing.
So how does this apply to you as a communicator? I mean, you speak for a living. You're already good at it. How do you refine that identity and avoid autopilot?
That's a great question. For me, the identity isn't just English speaker. It's more like engaging storyteller. It's not enough to just be understood. That's the baseline. That's the check please level.
So what's your 4% challenge in that? How do you stop yourself from, sleepwalking through conversations?
My little game is to see if I can make the other person, smile or think or even have a physical reaction to what I'm saying. So in most conversations, I'll try to use one new idiom or one really descriptive, flavorful word to see if it lands.
Can you give us an example?
Well, instead of just saying, I was very busy yesterday, which is quite flat, I might challenge myself to say, I was absolutely swamped, or things were just chaotic. I'm looking for that little bit of sparkle. That's how I refine the identity. I'm not just relaying info. I'm trying to build a connection.
That is so good. And it keeps it interesting for you, too. You're playing a game, and the other person doesn't even know what's happening.
It does. It keeps me on my toes.
Okay, before we wrap up, there's one last really crucial piece to this puzzle, and it's the emotional side of all this. The source material ends with this really warm idea. It says, I am so proud of your small steps today.
That's lovely.
It is, and it's really strategic. Because when we're trying to go from good to great, we get so hard on ourselves. We demand perfection, and when we mess up, when we skip a day or use the wrong word, we feel that shame.
Oh, the shame spiral. I missed one day, so I'm a total failure. Might as well just give up.
Yeah.
I think everyone listening knows that feeling.
We all do. But here's the key insight. Self-blame creates anxiety. And what does anxiety do?
It pushes you right out of the Goldilocks zone, straight into the panic zone.
And that kills the habit.
Yeah.
So self-compassion, it's not just soft advice. It is a practical tool for high performance. You have to treat yourself like a good friend. You have to be able to say, hey, I took a small step today, and I'm proud of that.
That is so powerful.
Yeah.
Self-forgiveness keeps you in the game. It's what lets you come back tomorrow and try again instead of just quitting out of guilt.
It really does. So, okay, let's bring this all together. We have covered a lot of ground today.
Well, we have. From tennis courts to K-dramas to restaurant bills.
If you want to escape that boredom trap and start moving toward mastery, here's the plan. First, audit yourself. Just ask, am I bored or am I stressed?
If you're bored, you're on autopilot. If you're stressed, you're in the panic zone.
Second, calibrate. If you're bored, add a constraint. Make it a game. If you're stressed, perform that strategic retreat. Shrink the task until it's easy again.
Find that 4% sweet spot.
And third, refine your identity. Remember, there's no finish line. This is a lifestyle. You're just building the person you want to become, one small step at a time.
Speaking of help with those small steps, I do believe we have a little something extra for everyone today.
We do. We know applying this can be a bit tricky at first, so we've put together a surprise bonus for this deep dive. It's a downloadable checklist and a vocab sheet with some of those gamification ideas for your English practice. The link is in the show notes.
Brilliant. Definitely go grab that. It's a great way to start experimenting.
So, as we sign off, I just want to leave you with one final thought to carry with you.
Let's hear it.
We talked a lot about adding constraints to make things harder, but think about your life right now. Where are you removing constraints just to make things easier when maybe you should be leaning in? What's one conversation or one task you've been sleepwalking through that could be transformed if you just decided to wake up and pay attention?
Ooh, that is a good one to chew on. Wake up and pay attention.
Thanks for watching the Omega channel. I hope today's sharing was helpful. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, and turn on notifications. See you next time.
Keep learning, and I look forward to seeing you again. Goodbye.